Okay, so hey guys, here we are for part 8 of the Minardi Manager Career mode, where we're going to take Minardi to the top. And I announced the chief designer last episode, and frankly, he's going to do brilliant stuff for us. But I think the technical director, Mike Gascoigne, is also going to massively help us with that. So here we are, we got Mike Gascoigne as our technical director. He was with Jordan, but now he's come to us because we're paying him £850,000, a contract which we did arrange in January. But why have I got him? Well, in all honesty, I did want to get Ross Brawn, but Ross Brawn wanted about £2 million, and I couldn't take that chance that we'd be able to afford his salary. So I scrapped that, got Mike Gascoigne, was with Jordan. As you can see, Jordan are a brilliant team at the minute, you know, being the best of the rest. And if you look here, we got Supplier Skill 95, Assembly Skill 98, with an overall rating of 96. Compare that to Gustav Brunner, whose ratings are all just 91s, with an overall rating of 90. So Mike Gascoigne, what will he be doing? He'll be building us the new parts that will be designed for us by Neil Oatley. He'll be setting up the race strategy, and his most crucial role will be giving us the setup for the cars during race and, well, during practice, qualifying and the race. So a very important set of jobs, and hence why I got such a skilled person to do it. And I've actually looked at his Wikipedia page, and it says Gascoigne's got a no-nonsense management style, which has proven to be very successful in setting up projects from scratch and turning around struggling teams. Sounds like just the sort of person we need. So that's Mike Gascoigne, brilliant person there. And so now we've done that, let's head on to this race. Obviously Mike Gascoigne won't be joining us until next year, because all contracts don't start until the next year. So we have got to stick with Gustav Brunner for the time being, which isn't that good, but oh well. Bear away, we got Magny-Cours here, which is a track I don't like, and something that's really weird is why Nigel Mansell's got the fastest lap. I mean, the track was run from 92 onwards, so how come nobody could set a faster race lap record past that time, unless it's just an error? But I doubt it. I don't know. That's a really weird one, to be honest. I don't know, but surely with us with our 7-year newer technology, we should be able to challenge that race lap record. Well, that's something to keep in mind anyway. 117 dead. But anyway, so that's the new race, but obviously as you can see that is in 12 days time. So you know the drill by now. We're going to see if we get any bits of news. So if we don't get any news, I'll cut to the practice report around Magny-Cours, and if we do get some news, then, well, I'll cut to that. So I'll see you then. Okay, so hey guys, so we have got some news. It's a small bit of news really. It's Jordan are losing PDP sponsorship, which, well, it's probably because they found out they lost Mike Gascoigne, you know, that's why PDP don't really want to be there anymore. They know they're going to go downhill. Especially as Jordan getting Ford Zetec engines next year, not Hondas. But here's the interesting bit of news. Fisicella might be going to McLaren, which would make sense because obviously David Coulthard's just left McLaren to go to Benetton. So it makes sense that Fisicella, I'm guessing, is going to take the new driver 2 spot to replace Coulthard. I'm guessing it's just going to be a direct swap for Coulthard Fisicella. So yeah, I think that will be confirmed in the coming weeks. And we just got weekly reports, so again I'll cut to any news, and if there isn't any, then well, I'll cut to the practice report on Magny-Cours. So see you then. Okay, so hey guys, so we have got some news. There's a lot of news actually, but most of it's just, you know, sponsors staying to teams they're already with, which we've already seen before. But at the bottom of this, there is some actual news, like statement from Arrows, that is that they're retaining Pedro De La Rosa as driver number 1, which, pretty good move actually, because De La Rosa's not a bad driver, so that's a pretty good move. And then, so Gaston Mazzacane is going to be leaving us to join Arrows as their test driver, which seems fair enough. I mean, obviously we haven't retained him for next year, so you know he isn't our test driver for next year. But yeah, Gaston Mazzacane, I'm pretty certain in the actual 2000 season, he becomes Minardi's second driver. Well, Gene becomes the first driver and Gaston Mazzacane becomes the second driver, but no, he's going to Arrows as a test driver, which not really a good move, to be honest. Well, I mean, what else could he do to us? It's not like there's many other places that allow him. And then Williams have confirmed they're going to be using Magneti Marelli electronics, which is a pretty good deal for them, obviously best electronics in the game. And a new components deal for Arrows, that is, they're going to be using AP brakes. Now, I don't know which ones they are using, but I think AP brakes are British, and obviously they're a British team, so they might well be using them already, but AP brakes are the joint best in the game, so that's a good deal for Arrows. Although I think they've got them, I don't really know. And then we got PDP, who just left Jordan, have now back BAR. God, that must be annoying for them. Well, for Jordan. Anyway, Williams, I think, are using Supertech engines, which I think would be a downgrade from the ones they're using at the minute. I can't even remember which ones they are using, in all honesty, but I might be using them anyway. No, I think they're using Supertechs anyway, actually. Oh, well, Prost confirmed Pedro Diniz as driver number 1, so that means he's going to be leaving Red Bull Sauber, and this is going to annoy, actually, Smooth Racing, because Smooth Racing left a comment, well, originally, well, he left 2 comments, really, because I asked people to guess what drivers I'd be taking on, and he originally said Diniz and Herbert, I believe, and then he said Alesi and Herbert. Well, I think it's a good thing he did change his mind to Alesi and Herbert, because, well, as you can see here, Diniz isn't coming to us, he is going to Prost. So, there you go. And then, McLaren confirmed Fisicella as driver number 1. Why on earth would he take driver number 1? That is a very good move for Fisicella, but what's happened to Häkkinen? Now, I will tell you something, guys. This is something I don't think I've mentioned, okay? Any former world champion will not accept a driver number 2 position at a team. So, Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, Mika Häkkinen, and Jacques Villeneuve, all 4 of those people will not accept driver number 2 positions because they're former world champions, so they will only accept driver number 1. Which means, if Fisicella, a non-world champion, is taking driver number 1, because Häkkinen is really stubborn in this game, or any world champion is stubborn in this game, he won't accept driver number 2, which I think means, because Ferrari have confirmed they're keeping Michael Schumacher, I don't know where Häkkinen's going to go. Because Jordan have confirmed Frentzen as driver number 1. Williams have confirmed Takaki as driver number 1. There's no other team, surely, apart from possibly BAR, who will be able to afford him. That's really weird, how Fisicella's taking driver number 1. That still leaves the question, who's going to be driver number 2 at McLaren, since it's not Coulthard. That's really weird. I don't know, maybe McLaren are doing cost cuttings, because 9 million, that's about half the amount it costs to get Häkkinen, so maybe. New components still for Stewart. They're going to be using Peugeot engines next year, which I think is a downgrade from what they're using, which is... Then Ferrari might be using Brembo brakes, which are the worst around, so that'd be another bad move for them. I'm pretty certain they have made a few errors. Well, one thing you can guarantee is because they use their own engines, they're not going to get rid of them. They will always use their own engines. I mean, they always have done anyway, but I mean, in this game, they'll never ditch their own engines. So, you know, they're always going to have a good engine to back them up. But if they're going to use Brembo brakes, that isn't really going to help. Then, Ford Zetec for Williams. Oh, no, Williams. No, you don't want to use Ford Zetecs. God, not another team making that error. Jordan have made that error, McLaren have made that error. We're making that error this year, but we've changed it. I haven't confirmed which engines yet, but we changed the engines we're using. Now, that would be a bad move, actually. God, not another good team that's going to go down because of it. And Rubens Barrichello is rumoured to be going with Jordan. God, he should be going to Ferrari. No, going to the wrong team. Well, actually, if he's going to Jordan, that means he will be driver number 2. Oh, He can never be driver number 1 at a team, can he? Never. Actually, I think he is at Stewart at the minute. I don't know, I think it's more of an equal thing at Stewart. And then, oh, Benetton. Not you might be using Ford Zetecs. Why are so many good teams rumoured to be using these engines? They're terrible. They're the worst in the game, apart from Arrow's own engines. But you can't even get hold of Arrow's own engines unless you are Arrows. That's crazy. And Jordan confirms Jim Wright as their commercial manager. So, well, I mean, I don't know what's happened to their current commercial manager. I think he already signed for another team, I think we've seen. Well, they got Jim Wright now as their new commercial manager. And, God, that's not even the end of the news. Williams are going to be using Supertech engines. Good, they haven't made that error of using Ford Zetecs. And actually, that's pretty cheap. I'm saying teams have paid more for Ford Zetecs. I think it's because Williams are already with Supertech, which means they get a cheaper deal because they're renewing their contract. I think, anyway. Then Stewart might be using AP brakes, which, as I've always said, the joint best in the game, along with MR brakes. Nick Heidfeld might be going to Prost. Well, Prost have already let go of a driver, haven't they? No, oh no, they signed Diniz, didn't they? Oh, Nick Heidfeld might be driver number 2, or maybe test driver again. Luca Pimentel for Ferrari, oh dear. They are going to use Brembo brakes, so that's a bad deal for them. And then Sauber confirms Nick Heidfeld as test driver. Oh, Nick, he probably might be able to get driver number 1. No, driver number 2 rather. I'm pretty certain Nick Heidfeld does actually, in real life, join Sauber as driver number 2. I don't know if it's in 2000, but it's in the very early 2000s at least. Oh well. What don't matter, I know he's at Sauber at some point anyway. Or BMW Sauber, you know, I think he's with both iterations of them. Of the team. Anyway, we've got an email from Gaston Mazzacani confirming that he's left to be test driver at Arrows. God, there was a lot of news that episode, just then. And, you know, we've still got a few days to a race, so I'll see if there's any more news, and if there isn't, then I'll see at the practice report about Magny-Cours. So I'll see you then. Okay, so hey guys, so we have got some more news actually, and we got Ixion sponsor back in Arrows. We got McLaren might be using AP brakes. We got Visteon Electronics, Stu might be using them. It's just lots of rumours, to be honest. Jacques Villeneuve might be renewing his contract with BAR, which would be driver number 1, because obviously he's a former world champion only 2 years ago in '97. Johnny Herbert might be going to... That's an interesting picture of him. They could have got any picture in the world of him and they got that. Okay, well, that's a very interesting picture, the pic of Johnny Herbert, but there you go. He might be going to Sauber, which then Rubens Barrichello might be going to Ferrari actually, which would make sense, you know. I mean, Eddie Irvine's left to go to... He left to go to Stewart actually. Yeah, Barrichello and Irvine might be swapping, just as I believe they have done, or they did in real life. That'd be very interesting actually if that happened to go through. Then Luca Badoer. Okay, I know I haven't confirmed our drivers yet, and I will be doing that next episode. But we know Mazzacane won't be staying with us. We know Genet won't be staying with us. And finally, we know Badoer won't be staying with us because he's taken a very good role. Actually, as test driver at Ferrari, which I'm not going to blame him for taking, because he was out of contract and he's made a very good deal there. I'm pretty certain Luca Badoer, like if you look through his past real life career, he's had links with Ferrari anyway. And I'm pretty certain he took over for a few races once Massa had his injury in 2009, which is kind of like a like an I'm sorry letter from Ferrari, I believe. I can't remember the details, but basically it makes sense for Badoer to go to Ferrari. And then Stewart, oh, we have got a confirmation, another one. Stewart are going to be using AP brakes, just as rumoured. Sauber confirms Rob Armstrong as their commercial manager, which, well, I don't really know what to say. I don't know the guy, but I mean, there you go. So we've got Rob Armstrong. And finally, statement from BAR. I'm guessing this is to confirm Jacques Villeneuve, and it is. Jacques Villeneuve as driver number 1 for 12 million. Seems fair enough to me. And then here we go. We got confirmation email from Luca Badoer confirming that he's taken position elsewhere, which yeah, we already know. We saw in the news. So yeah, that's all of our drivers gone. So you know for a fact that we're not using any of our current drivers. So there you go. That's something that narrows down the options, I suppose. But anyway, so we're gonna be at the next race, Magny-Cours. Not my favourite track in the world, but it is a fairly high-speed, short track, which I suppose I like it for that reason, is the fact it is short, and it is kind of high speed, even though there's not an actual straight, it's always curved. Apart from there, I suppose. And the bit that's the start-finish straight. But anyway, we're going to see if we can beat a massively outdated lap record. We should be able to. Oh, and it is 7 years old, that lap record. We should be able to get near it anyway, but that's something to keep in mind. With a lap record 117 dead, or race lap record. But anyway, so I'll cut to the practice report around Magny-Cours. So I'll see you then. Okay, so we just had the practice round Magny-Cours in France in 1999, so let's take a look at the results. Fisicella's in first place for the Benetton, a surprise first place for Fisicella, a man who was actually soon to be joining the McLaren team, was actually better than both McLaren drivers, of which Mika Häkkinen, the number 1 driver at McLaren, was second place, with Michael Schumacher third. Rubens Barrichello, who's had links to be a Ferrari, was just behind the number 1 Ferrari man in 4th. Minardi takes 5th in the Williams, with Wirth, Fisicella's teammates, also in the Benetton, finishing down in 6th. Adrian finishes in 7th to be way off his teammate as per usual, with Damon Hill in 8th. Jacques Villeneuve is in 9th, with David Coulthard having a terrible practice session to finish in 10th. Giancarlo is 11th, with Olivier and Diniz finishing 12th and 13th for the Saubers. Heinz Alfredson probably has the most disappointing session out of everyone to finish down in 14th, with Olivier Panis finishing in 15th. Luca Badoer finishes in 16th for the Minardi, a surprise finish for them, with Janet also finishing in 17th. Ralf Schumacher finishes behind both Minardis to have a terrible practice session in 18th, with De La Rosa having a good practice session for the Arrows in 19th. Johnny Herbert finishes 16 positions behind his teammate in 20th, with Takaki taking 21st in the Arrows, and last place is Ricardo Zonta in the BAR, who is a good 13 positions away from his teammate. Okay, so we just had the qualifying around Magny-Cours in France in 1999, and that was a brilliant qualifying session, one of the best this season. So let's have a look at the results. Both Ferraris take 1st and 2nd, with Schumacher taking 1st and Eddie Irvine taking 2nd. Fisichella isn't able to replicate his practice performance to come 3rd. Mika Häkkinen comes 4th in the McLaren, with Damon Hill taking 5th in the Jordan, and then rounding out the top 6 is Rubens Barrichello in the Stewart. Alexander Wirth is in 7th, with Zanardi in 8th. David Coulthard has a terrible qualifying session to finish all the way down in 9th, with Luca Badoer probably the surprise of the session, finishing 10th, after saying a lap was team principal, PS Luton rules told him to push, and then so nearly setting a lap where he was told to risk everything, as we can see from this footage. We've only got a chicane and then a right-hander to go. No! Oh, Badoer! You were right near the end, you were going to do a lap and risk everything. Badoer, man. Oh my god. You were so close. So close, man. Giancarlo comes in 11th, with Johnny Herbert in 12th. Jean Alesi in 13th, and Ralf Schumacher again has a dreadful qualifying session, much like his practice session, to finish in 14th. Diniz is in 15th with Panis in 16th. Heinz Frentzen, again the disappointment of the session, to finish down 17th. De La Rosa's in 18th with Takaki in 19th. Genet finishes in 20th for the Minardi after only setting one lap, and that was his out lap after an engine failure caused him to not set a flying lap. And you may notice that on this screen there's no 21st or 22nd. That is because both BARs of Jacques Villeneuve and Ricardo Zonta weren't able to set even an out lap. It's unknown why the BARs weren't able to set a lap, but if their reliability is this bad in the race, then we might only see 20 cars on the starting grid. Okay, so hey guys, so we've had the qualifying session there, and that was a really interesting one actually. That's probably the best one since Monaco, to be honest. But both BARs couldn't set a lap. Now, I do have a sneaky suspicion, because I know Arrows usually have this problem at the end of the season. BAR might have run out of engines. I don't know what engines they use, but they might have run out. Because I know Arrows usually have this problem at the end of the season. They run out of engines. Actually, I did a career mode once with Arrows, and for the last about 4 races of the season, I could only afford to have one car running, because there were that few engines. I had to ditch Takaki and only have De La Rosa have engines for the race. But if BAR have run out of engines, I don't know. It's really weird how both BARs have crashed out together, which makes me think they might have run out of engines. But anyway, so we got the strategy here, which Gustav Bruno suggested, which is a 2-stop strategy, so let's head out to the race. So obviously we've got it set so it notifies us whenever there's a crash. So if both BARs do crash out due to engine failures, then we'll know. And speaking of which, I did remember to replace my parts. I didn't show that, but I did it just before I cut to it. So what's happened there? Okay, so Genet's just dropped back loads, but Badoer's in 10th. That's only because he set a lap on push. And obviously, as we saw, he so nearly set a lap on risk everything, and that was brilliant stuff on Badoer, to be honest. I know he's gone, and I know I've taken the mick out of him this season, but that was a bloody good performance from him. And, oh great, as you can see, Genet's at the back. Well, that's great. He's dropped by, I mean, I don't mind dropping behind both BARs, but dropping behind the Arrows is just pitiful. And the most interesting thing is both the BARs are still going. So maybe it wasn't a reliability issue that stopped them from doing qualifying. Maybe they just decided not to run for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe it is to save parts. I mean, I don't really know what's going on at BAR, but very interesting why they would choose not to enter qualifying, or unless it was reliability. But on both cars at the same time is really weird. And as you can see, Badoer holding up the field a treat. As you can see, David Coulthard's several seconds ahead already. But Badoer holding his own in 10th, that's pretty good. And who's that, a Stewart? That's not a replay. Hang on, is there a move being made on that Benetton? No, there wasn't. He was way too far. Badoer, don't get past. Oh, he almost got past then. I was worried he would. But I'm amazed. Badoer's running in 10th with no retirements. Is that the highest we've been all season with no retirements? Oh, Genet. Is this Genet getting past the Arrows? This should be. We should be able to. We have outpaced them all weekend, to be honest. And no, the Arrows went defensive there. We're on the inside line, and that's the first lap done. But we're right behind, and we should, as long as we get past them at some point in this race, that's fine. And both BARs are still running at the end of the first lap, so very interesting there. Anyway, let's speed on the session with Badoer in 10th. I'm guessing he's going to drop like a stone. Yep, 14th. And 15th. No, he's holding his own in 15th, actually, in fairness. No, Villeneuve's got past. Obviously, Villeneuve's got to make up for his lack of qualifying. And interesting that Genet can't even get past De La Rosa. And also, De La Rosa's the back running Arrows and not Takaki. I know it's something I've mentioned many times this season, but it's really weird. And Zonta's dropped back. It's probably from a lack of qualifying. Oh no, Zonta's no. Okay, so we were ahead of Zonta somehow, and now we're not. Oh no, okay, now we are again. But crucially, we have got past Takaki. That's what's important. And Deniz dropped back. Is that an early pit stop? That'd be a very early pit stop from him. And it's weird how Heinzel Frentzen isn't able to get past Panis. Oh no, he has now. But surely, I mean, I know he's been a terrible weekend, but it's really weird how he's, you know, struggling to make up the positions. And truly has had a driver error, which, well, we have seen a lot of them this season. So, no surprise that we'll have one again. And Johnny Herbert, he's had one in the Stewart, and he had a terrible practice session, I believe. Didn't he finish down in 20th or something? So, no surprise that. And then Deniz has had a suspension failure in the Sauber, so we're actually making up positions. I mean, we're still way off the points, but I mean, was it last race that I said that, and then we so damn nearly got in the points? But no, we haven't had the amount of mass retirements, but obviously retirements are more likely to happen at the end of the session, you know, when parts are more worn and drivers are more tired out. And Zanardi's had a driver error there, which I do feel sorry for Zanardi. Well, I don't know whether I feel sorry for him or whether he's just not that good. And Zonta, BAR, there you go, that's what you get for not doing qualifying. You get less experience at the track, 12 laps less experience, and then, you know, it just haven't got that experience to be able to drive fast consistently. But we're still miles off the points, but crucially we're ahead of Arrows. That's the crucial thing. What about Prost? Prost is in 11th. And what have we had here? De La Rosa's out with a driver error, and Eddie Irvine's out with barge wheel failure. Panis is out with engine failure. Where's the other Prost? Is he out already? The other Prost is out, good, because we don't want Prost to score points, remember? Because they're the only team that haven't scored points yet. And we're almost in the points here. Takaki's out of driver error. Jean Alesi's out of driver error. I don't think we're going to sneak into points just yet. Badoer is out with, what's that, suspension failure. Genet, it's all down to you. And he's not going to do it. It's not going to be enough retirements. Damn it, but you know, we were close there. We were close at the end. But crucially, Arrows haven't scored any points. And even more crucially, Prost haven't scored any points. So we're still ahead of Prost in the Constructors' Championship. And as long as Prost don't score any points this season, we still finish 10th in the Constructors. So that's the crucial factor this season. And we've been close to getting points on a few occasions now, so you never know. And Schumacher finishes first from Hakkinen. And Fisicella has had a good performance. He's had a good weekend. I think it's that morale of knowing he's going to replace Hakkinen next year. That would give me a morale boost, to be honest. And Coulthard having a dreadful performance. He's had a dreadful weekend, considering he's in McLaren, but again, he's probably had a morale downgrade knowing he's going to Benetton. So Ferrari win at France with Jean Todt. Oh, that's going to boost Jean Todt's manager rating as well, isn't it? It is as well. And one thing, because I will forget before the next race, Badoer had suspension failure. We've got to replace that suspension. Hang on, we've only got one more of these left. Hopefully they can produce 2 more in time for next race, hopefully. And obviously, Chenet had that engine failure previously. How many Ford Zetec engines have we got left? 6 of this model. 9 of... Oh, we got loads. We got enough to last to the end of the season, but obviously it's a downgrade in horsepower, you know. But I mean, if we have to go to those engines, then we have to. But anyway, so weekly reports, let's have a look. Obviously, yeah, that don't make a... Oh yeah, of course, car 1 suspension heavily worn, yeah, because it failed. Gabriel Chiedozi, we still have the most advanced electronics, no surprise there, but Ferrari seem to be dominating everything really apart from the chassis and brakes. Yeah, interesting one. And then we got another 1.92 million. I don't know why it keeps on saying no one was impressed by our performance. I think it says that quite often anyway. I'm trying to, if you go on our sponsors yeah, they're all pretty happy with us. Oh, hang on. 4 sponsored contracts up to be renewed. Hopefully they will be renewed. I think they will be, to be honest, but yeah, they should be renewed, but hopefully they are. And that's it. So that was a very interesting weekend, actually, even though I said I didn't like the track. You know, and actually, I don't know about race, but surely you'd be faster in qualifying, and we weren't able to set that sort of lap time during qualifying. I don't think anybody was. Well, I have heard the cars were slower in 99 than they were in 98 and 97 from F1 Games PlayStation. He kindly told me of the rule changes that happened at the 99 season, so there you go. I've got tons of knowledge now. But anyway, so 27th of June, we're coming to July, the lovely summer months. July, where we're going to be at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, obviously my home Grand Prix. Oh, it's not the home Grand Prix of any of our key personnel or suppliers or anyone really. It's not actually the home Grand Prix for anyone in the team other than me. No, there's no suppliers which is based in the UK. There's no drivers or personnel which are based here. They're all, well, most of them are nutter Italians. Yeah, most of them are Italian, to be honest. Yeah, but anyway, 27th of June it is at the minute. 11th of July we're going to get Silverstone, a great track, and as you can see, lots of teams are based here, but not us, which I think gives us a massive disadvantage. Although, weirdly, I'm pretty certain Arrows are a British team, but they're not based here. We're based near Silverstone. That's really weird. I don't know, but anyway, so yeah. So next part we're going to be at Silverstone. I'm going to be announcing all 3 of our drivers. So I've already had a few comments saying who they might be, but obviously, if you want to, if you have any ideas who our drivers might be for next season, leave them down in the comments, and I'll see you next time for Silverstone. So I'll see you then.